Hi, and welcome to my second apology project. So, you know how I've always been complaining about how things can be inconsistent and annoying? Well, it turns out that I've been being inconsistent this entire time. I didn't even realize it. If you've seen a few of these, you're probably familiar with Supernova.
Hello.
If you've seen more recent episodes, you probably know that his mouth was black, when it's actually supposed to be yellow, like it is right now. And it was always supposed to be yellow, but I don't know, copying him over from project to project somehow made his mouth black, like mine, and now I had to live with it because I don't want to go back and recolor everything. But just so you know, now on, I'll be more consistent and his mouth will always be yellow. I doubt anyone noticed this, but I felt that I should probably point it out. The real reason I made this project, however, is so I can have a project on Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you had a fun time.
Hey, you talked about fraud on Thanksgiving, and now you're going to talk about this on Christmas? Do you ever do anything festive?
Never have, never will. Talk about world problems going on right now. Well, Scratch is a thing available all over the world, and there are plenty of problems with Scratch. So today, I shall be pointing out multiple problems with Scratch, and how you can avoid them. Problem 1. You want to dig deep into the Explore tab to find some projects deep down there, but scrolling down takes too long. How can you scroll faster? One thing that limits your scrolling speed is that after you scroll down for a bit, you'll see a blue button that says, See More, or something like that. And clicking that button takes at least 1/10 of a second. Way too slow for me. Instead of clicking it, hover your mouse over and press the spacebar. It does the same thing as clicking it in a fraction of the time. So if you put your mouse in the bottom middle of the screen, and then start scrolling down really quickly while spamming the spacebar, you'll get deep down into the Explore tab in a few seconds. The second thing wrong with Scratch is the robot effect. This is now the third time I've talked about it, and people are still using it. The robot effect is terrible. Name one good reason why you would ever use it in a project. There are none. It's that bad. A simple solution to get rid of the robot effect is just never to use it. The third problem with Scratch is people who report every single project that they see. How to fix this? I don't know. It may not be fixable for all I know. I would say to report the reporters, but if you report the reporters, then you're now a reporter, which means that someone else could report you for reporting the reporter who reported the project. The fourth problem with Scratch is the title of the love button. If you say to love and favorite a project, that's a bit much. Love is a strong word. They should replace the love it with like it, because if you like it, that doesn't mean you want to marry it, but love is just way too strong. So if you replace love it with like it, and replace favorite with... Well, actually, favorite isn't that bad, because if you favorite a project, then that does mean that it's one of your favorite projects, so it's added to your favorites list. But love it, really, just like it. So anyway, that's the end of this. I'll see you later. I don't know about you, but to me, 2020 feels like it's been going on forever, and I'm glad it's over. Also, apparently, in some time zones, it's already 2021. So, how is it in 2021, people in those time zones? Did the world explode? I hope not. That would stink. If the world exploded, then I couldn't be doing any more rants. The end of 2020 does not mean the end of Billy Nutjoe's rant, however. There will be plenty more. Unless the world explodes.
So you're saying that if I blow up the world, I can get rid of you? Hey, that's a great idea. Give me a second.
Hey, no, what are you doing? Stop. Don't blow up the world, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Get back here right now. You're not gonna explode the world. Oh wow, you're a lot faster than I expected. Ow, hey, you can't hit me, that's not fair. But anyway, yeah guys, happy 2021. I think that's what her sign says, I can't read it from here. For all I know, it could say cheese doodles. Nope, I've gotten closer, and the sign definitely says happy 2021. Okay, great. That wraps up this year, and of Billy Nutjoe's rant. Until, 2021. If you've read the description, then you probably already know what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about the types of questions on tests that you shouldn't be ashamed of getting wrong, because they're rigged. Like when a math teacher marks a question wrong because you didn't do it the quote-unquote correct way. I say, if you find another way that works, why should you have to do it the teacher's way? Or secondly, when a multiple choice question has none of the above as one of the answers. Why would you put that as one of the answers? Do you not want me to do the math? If only one question on a multiple choice test has none of the above as the answer, that's most likely the answer because there's probably a mistake on the other answers. So instead of actually fixing the other answers, they just put none of the above because they're too lazy to fix the answer. And thirdly, you know how sometimes on English tests they have that little story that you read and then answer questions about? The absolute worst thing is when after a question they say, support your answer with evidence from the text. And then they give you a bunch of passages from the text and ask you which one best suits your answer. But all of them support your answer, so you just have to hope that you guess the right one. It's completely unfair. Another stupid thing is when there's a question and you have to select multiple answers from a list, and the list is like 1,000 years long. Or another thing that's ridiculous is when there's one part of a multiple choice question that's completely ridiculous and it's just there to be ruled out. If you're just there to be ruled out, then why exist in the first place? So yeah, in my opinion, they should grade tests based on effort instead of accuracy. Oh, and one more thing. To anyone who thought that it was a good idea to have computers grade essays, I hate you. I could go on for hours about more stupid things about tests, but that would be a waste of your time. And tests are a waste of your time, and I don't want to be anything like a test. Goodbye. Oh, hi. Thanks for showing up. I have one question, Scratch. Why can't I use the search bar to search for scratchers? Finding projects is easy enough, but finding specific people, it's almost impossible. Unless someone made a project with that person's name in it. But wouldn't it be super easy to just add a filter that lets you look for specific profiles and not projects? Speaking of specific profiles, congratulations to Funky Pineapple for 525 followers. 525. Wow, that's impressive. That's like half of 1,000. If you had 40 times more followers, you'd have about as many as Griffpatch. Speaking of Griffpatch, why do so many people compare themselves to him? He's like an adult, and most of the people on Scratch are children, so there's not really a fair comparison there. He has a lot more years of experience than most people on Scratch, so of course he's going to be able to do more impressive things. But I'm not supposed to be talking about Griffpatch, I'm supposed to be talking about the search bar. Although I can't think of much to say about the search bar because I've already said all my feelings last time I talked about the search bar. Next time I'm going to talk about something that I've never talked about before, so I have stuff to talk about. Have a good the rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Oh, hi, good morning. I wanted to bring to your attention something weird that's been happening on Scratch. This may or may not have happened to you. I've asked a few of my friends, and some of them have, and some of them haven't. But anyway, the big problem is that randomly, costumes in random projects are being replaced with a gray square with a black question mark. It looks kind of like this. From my experiences, if you ever see this replace one of the costumes in your project, immediately leave and do not investigate further. When the entity first appears, the question mark will be offset from the square. Do not move it, or else it will permanently replace whatever costume it had corrupted. Instead, you should probably reload the page, or X out of the tab. The infection is spreading to shared and unshared projects alike. So, if there's a shared project that you don't want to get corrupted, I suggest making a few copies of it. Placing all sprites of a project in your backpack will ensure that they won't get attacked. I've done a few other tests on this subject, and I've confirmed that it is, in fact, obnoxious.
So what you're saying is, if I see the square, I should empty my backpack and touch it.
No, no, you should actually do the exact opposite of that. And to assist people who have been permanently scarred by the square, remixing their projects before and not changing anything so that they have a backup of that project that isn't on their profile can be immensely helpful. So anyone who's ever been angry that someone remixed your project without changing anything, it might just save that project. This has been Billy Nutjo's Rant, and I hope you found it informative.
No, actually, I found it boring and stupid.
No one asked your opinion. Do you wish you could be more efficient in making Scratch projects? Do you look at those popular Scratchers and say, yeah, I could do what they're doing, but I don't have enough time? Are you thoroughly perplexed at why I'm talking at you like an infomercial? I have no idea. Anyway, this is a guide on how to make more efficient projects quicker. My tip to you on how to make projects faster is to have a template. That being a project that already has all the things you need to make an animation, and you just have to add sound. How to do that? Well, for starters, backpack all the animation tools you'll need and put them into one project. all the backgrounds, all the sprites, and sounds too. Yeah, all the stuff. Put it in one project. And then whenever you want to make an animation, look in the top left bar thing next to the Scratch logo, and there'll be a file button. Press that, and it'll open a drop down menu, and then you press save as a copy, which will make a copy of that project so you can make an animation with all the stuff already there. Always make sure to make a copy of your template, though, because if you accidentally make an animation over the template, you have to make an entirely new template, and it's just a waste of time and annoying. I'm not sure how this will work for more complicated animations, but I don't do complicated things, as you can clearly tell by what you're watching now. I wonder how many people actually use templates. And obviously, a template is not a project that you would share, because otherwise you'd just share a blank project. Come to think of it, I wouldn't even classify what I'm doing right now as animation. Not much is being animated right now. But I think I covered what I want to talk about well enough. So, good night. And I'll see you later. The very first ever rant I ever did was complaining about the robot effect. That was when I didn't have any followers. But now I have 15. 15 more than I did when I complained about the robot effect. If you want to hear me complain about the robot effect, then you can just go watch Billy Nut Joe's Rant 1. But today, I'm going to give a perfect alternative to the robot effect. Most people use the robot effect as a distortion effect, which would be fine if it didn't make your audio sound terrible. Please explain the practicality of this. The robot effect is really annoying, but if you want a good distortion effect, look no further than the pitch effect. However, unlike the robot effect, the pitch effect cannot be applied directly to a sound. It's not one of the sound editing buttons like faster, slower, louder, softer, mute, fade in, fade out, reverse, and robot. Instead, it's a block that affects the entire sprite, which may cause problems, but trust me, it's worth it, because it's a way better distortion effect. The block itself works sort of like the graphic effects, like whirl, fisheye, and pixelate. But unlike the graphic effects, which are mostly used for fun, except for the ghost is a good graphic effect, set pitch effect can actually be used for practical reasons. But we're not here for practical reasons, we're here for a distortion effect. For the effect to take place, you'll have to create a script that goes, when green flag clicked, forever, set pitch effect, pick random 10 to -10. You can increase the range, but I find 10 -10 the most humorous. So, are you ready to hear it? Are you ready to hear the new distortion effect? Oh, hello, I'm speaking to you with the new distortion effect, pitch. It's far better than that dumb robot effect. No one ever liked the robot effect. See, isn't that way less detrimental to your eardrums than the robot effect? If you use the robot effect, you might want to consider switching over to the pitch effect. Or just ignore me completely. I don't know. This has been Billy Nut Joe's Rant, and I hope you found it informative. Most people on Scratch use extensions, and if you haven't, then you probably didn't even know that they existed. In the bottom left corner, there's a button that says Add Extensions, which gives you extra coding blocks to use in whatever purposes you want. Right now, I'm going to be giving my opinions on each extension, and ways you can use them. The first one I'm going to talk about is text-to-speech. I'm talking about this one first because I've already talked about it before. Text-to-speech is pretty useful, even if it does sound a bit silly. It's also good if you want to make a robot talk.
Probably the most popular extension on Scratch is Pen. Pen is so useful that at one point it wasn't even an extension, and it was just one of the blocks. Pen is a way to modify a project without using a sprite or backdrop. Pen is also very complicated, so it's more of a flex if you can make a project using only Pen. The only downside to Pen is that it's bitmap and not vector, so everything looks pixelated and low quality. Still, it's always a massive feat of ingenuity whenever someone can make a project using only this one extension.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Don't you have some superheroing things to do?
No, not really. I just wanted to steal the spotlight and talk about the most important extension. Goodbye.
With that out of the way, the next extension is music. The music extension is good for making music. I made my intro using the music extension. Needless to say, it's pretty cool. The next extension is video sensing, which you need a camera for. I've barely seen any projects that use this extension, and the ones that do are really simple. So, if you want to create a Wii-style minigame, then go ahead, but otherwise it's not useful. Another extension is translate, which translates text from one language to another. I guess this would be useful to add if your project gets on the front page, because then more people will be able to understand it. But then again, it's not the end of the world if you don't have it, because I've played plenty of good games in other languages without having any trouble. Well, that covers the main 5 extensions, but there's 6 others that require you to have external resources to use. They mostly just do gimmicky stuff, like being able to program a Lego robot or use a banana as a controller. Wait, hold up. It allows you to use a banana as a controller? That's the best thing I ever saw. Everyone should definitely use the banana thing. This is the most useful extension in all of Scratch. This was Billy Nut Joe's Rant, and I hope you found it informative and entertaining. Today's topic is going to be making your projects look more professional. Because, I'm definitely the most professional person on Scratch. One thing to automatically make your projects look 100% more professional is to not have any variables showing. Because having variables showing means that you forgot to hide the variables. And, excuse me, who put this here? Why is it here? Ugh. And it's even worse when there's a list on screen because lists are bigger than variables and take up more space. Ugh. Ugh. Is this your doing? Did you put that up there? It's also important to keep a consistent vector bitmap style. If you're going to use vector for everything. And if you're going to use bitmap for everything. Conflicting resolutions don't look good together. Also, very rarely should you use the reverse effect in the sound editor. So it's not enough. Alright, that's it. I'm out of here. Goodbye. I know I've said this before, but I think I've actually finally found the most ridiculous thing on Scratch. In the top left corner, or at least near the top left corner, there's a button that says Tutorials. And when you click it, it gives you a bunch of tutorials. We should all be thankful that these tutorials are here to tell us such useful things such as the hide block hides things, the show block shows things, and the record sound button, get this, it records a sound. Wow, I would have never figured those things out if it weren't for the tutorial button. If you can't tell, I'm being sarcastic. The tutorial button is completely ridiculous. When you click it, it brings up a little window with a bunch of useless tutorials, and if you click it, it brings up a slideshow type thing in the project editor, which is one thing I can give it credit for. It doesn't open a new window or something. But seriously, the built-in tutorials and most of the tutorials on Scratch's YouTube channel are just so simple that even a toddler could figure them out. They don't need to be tutorials. And you might be thinking, well, aren't there more advanced tutorials that tell you things like the difference between global and local variables and how to use the make a block feature? No, of course not. Those features are so simple. The complicated ones, such as showing and hiding sprites, now those are the ones that definitely require a tutorial. I'm still being sarcastic if you can't catch on. And I doubt it would even be that hard to add new tutorials like a tutorial on X and Y velocity, or the make a block feature, or parallax scrolling, or something. I don't know, just anything that would be actually useful to most people. And to make things even more redundant, on the Explore tab, there's a filter to search for tutorials, because the Scratch team knew that their tutorials were trash. Any human being can figure out the blocks on Scratch with a few minutes of trial and error. There's no need for these tutorials. There's also no need for the in-editor tutorial button to be bigger than the file and edit buttons, which are actually useful buttons. I mean, geez, the tutorials button is bigger than the share button. How proud are you of these tutorials that you want to push them on me so much? This has been Billy Nut Joe's Rant, and if you know of any useless features in Scratch, please tell me in the comments.